Good evening. Try a different show tonight. What's up, guys? Nothing like a little bit of technical difficulty right before you're getting ready to go on the air to kind of shake you up. But you know what? I'm ready to do this, okay? Thanks for joining me. Thursday night, we got some college football getting ready to start here. I'm going to talk pro football. I'm going to talk dominating your draft. I'm going to give you some deep sleepers at wide receiver, some medium sleepers and some deep sleepers that's going to help you develop depth at that vital position. Okay? So we're going to put a bow on draft strategy, but then we're going to jump in and we're going to talk because there's a lot. I did the first two rounds on Tuesday night. We'll do a quick overview of them, and then we'll jump right into this. Okay? I got about 80 wide receivers I want to talk about. That's right. I'm crazy. So, without further ado, those of you that weren't able to make it on Tuesday, we started with a draft strategy, right? Talking about how to go about winning your draft. Draft is the most important part of fantasy football. You can work your ass off on the waiver wire. It won't make a difference if you don't have any talent come draft day. Okay? So, real quickly, just want to do an overview so we can get caught back up and get moving forward. How you win your draft. Have a plan, but be flexible. Be able to adjust, right? If someone takes a guy, don't be dead set on a James Conner, and then he gets taken, you don't know what to do, right? Be able to wiggle. Point 2, prioritize your sleepers, and don't overdraft them, okay? We all love these guys. We do it with rookies in baseball. We all have these guys that we love, and we just get like puppy dog eyes over them, right? I'm saying to you, if you have a list of guys that you really value as sleepers, make that list and prioritize them from 1 to 5. Go after the top 2. If one of the top 2 get taken, go after maybe the third. If you have a short bench, only go after 1, okay? So it's important to understand that if you draft a team full of sleepers, you're going to end up with a mediocre team, okay? So, curb it. Really important point. Really important, okay? Point 3, make a draft outline. What I mean by that is when you're sitting there, you make out your draft, you know who you're going to draft by round, just right beside it. Have just a thought ahead of time on who you want to draft where. So, say you want to draft... say you're sitting in the 5th position and you really want Zeke. Well, if you take Zeke, you're going to have to take Pollard really early, right? So if you have a draft outline, you can sit there and in the 8th round put Tony Pollard, whatever he is, his handcuff, right? That's my point. Have a draft outline. It doesn't have to be rigid. You can, if you want to start taking... your first tight end, say you want to take it in the 6th round, you might want to put something like that in there. Say you don't want to take your quarterback until, I didn't take a quarterback till the 12th round last night and ended up with Ben Roethlisberger. So you can wait on a quarterback. So that's what I'm saying by having that outline. If you have that outline, you can quickly see when the draft is coming down and you're filling your guys in, oh shoot, I got to get going on a tight end or a quarterback, right? So have a draft outline. And the final point, be a trendsetter. You're not going to win your league getting the 4th or 5th quarterback, getting the 4th or 5th tight end. I'm not saying go after them overly aggressively, but know their worth. And if you're in a league and you see that people are cocky, and they're not drafting quarterbacks on purpose. Say Mahomes is gone, but no one wants to draft, Baker or Watson or any of those other guys, right? They're falling and falling and falling. Have the cojones to grab them because it is an advantage. And then the great part about that is if you do that, a lot of the times the guys behind you are like, oh, we better get started on quarterbacks or we better get started on tight ends. And then you still end up with the guy that you really wanted because everybody's chasing your tail. That's what you want. Be a trendsetter, guys. Okay? The part I didn't emphasize about that last week that I think is important to talk about, back that up. If you get a Deshaun Watson or a Baker Mayfield or one of those elite quarterbacks, don't be afraid to turn around and draft a guy like Ben Roethlisberger or Phil Rivers or two of them even to have him as trade capital later. Okay? So build your depth and look forward, think for opportunities later. Okay? So that's what we talked about last week. We went through the first two wide receiver ones and wide receivers two, if you will. Can you guys hear me, by the way? I'm not getting any interaction, so I'm hoping y'all can hear me. Kevin? Lenny? Anyway, this is a good opportunity. My name's Chappy. You're listening to Chapp's Fantasy Chat on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports Network. I come to you on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I really love bringing this to you guys. So I really do hope that y'all are hearing me crystal clear because, you've heard the joke. I talk to myself. So anyway, real quick before we do a quick overview of the receivers that we discussed last time. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Love having you, man. I want to set the premise. I want to set why we're talking about this in such great depth. Okay. Again, I said this last week. I'll preface it and try and say it a little bit better this week. The perception is that the wide receiver position is really deep. And it is. Like I told you guys, I have near 80 receivers on this list that I'm getting ready to share with you guys, who I find most of them has some sort of value. So it is deep. But here's the thing. It's not deep with quality. Actually, if you think about it and you look at it, it's rather thin with quality. Okay? So, what am I talking about? Real quick breakdown. 8 receivers had 100 receptions last year. 8. That's it. That's not many. This is the truth, right? This is last year's stats. This is the only tangible thing we have. 8 receivers had 100 receptions. Only 18 had 1,000 yards receiving. Okay? That's receivers. Kickers and tight ends did both of those things as well. I'm talking about receivers. 18 of them had 1,000 yards. Only 7 of them had double-digit receiving touchdowns. That's it, guys. So what's that tell you? You want to prioritize these guys, especially ones that are at that standard, right? If they're approaching those numbers, you start to understand and are able to quantify that there's not that many of them and you need to grab them when they're there, right? So even if you get a guy, so let's go a little bit further, right? Let's talk about, if I can get to it. Of course, this is down to the bottom. Let's talk about okay, let's not talk about it. Let's talk about the draft, okay? So again, lost point is, even if you go down to 900 yards receiving and 90 receptions, there's still not that many, okay? I had it written down, I just can't find it. Again, apologies. So you know, it really is important to understand when you have these things, these tangible facts, you need to capitalize on guys that are giving you good output in one of these 3 categories. So again, you're looking for receptions, because honestly, if you're looking at, that's repeatable. Receptions are repeatable, right? And fact of the matter is, if a guy gives you 80 or 90 receptions, you know he's valuable and he's a key piece of that offense going forward. Okay? So If a guy gives you 800 or 900 yards, it's valuable, right? If he has the same quarterback coming back, if he has most of the offensive line in the running game, it's something you can. I mean, you can't chalk anything up in football because there's a lot of injuries and all that stuff, but it is worth something. It increases your list, right? So here's the comprehensive list of guys who had 10 TDs receiving, 1,000 yards receiving, and 100 touchdowns or 100 receptions last year. Okay, got it? 10 TDs receiving, 1,000 yards receiving, and 100 receptions. So, comprehensive list. D-Hop had 115 catches, 1,572 yards, and 11 TDs. Right? 1. 2. Adams, 111 receptions, 1,386 yards, and 13 touchdowns. Antonio Brown is 3, had 104, 1,297 yards, and 15 touchdowns. And Travis Kelce, 4, 103 receptions, 1,336 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Lenny, that's it. 4 players in the NFL met that bar. Okay? So, why do I bring this up? Why is this important? It's important because when we talk about these guys, you're going to see these numbers where they're in the 6, 7, 800 yard range, or the 60, 70, 80 reception range, or this exactly 4. And one of them was a tight end. 3 receivers. That's it. So I set that up, right? Because today we're going to talk about the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th tier. I'm saying there's massive value in these receivers. If you draft wisely, you can get serious value here that'll give you leverage over your opponents. That's why it's important to set this all up, right? Keys, please. Come on. Cheers. So let's talk about them, okay? Let's talk about first, really quickly, because I have a lot to go over. Let's talk about the top 24 because I realize everybody didn't get a chance to hear it. Your wide receiver 1s and your wide receiver 2s. We talked about it a good bit on Tuesday. Even talked about it some more with Arnie. But I do want to make note of it because, I mean, you know, we're all drafting right now, right? If you're in a good league, you're drafting right now. So, again, your wide receiver 1s. DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Michael Thomas, all first-round picks. Tyreek Hill, I have as your number 4. He's currently a second-round pick, but I have him jumped over Julio Jones. He's jumped over Julio Jones in my book because of the emergence of Calvin Ridley, who I'll talk about later, who I talked about last week, okay? So, 4 Tyreek Hill, 5 Julio Jones. Tyreek Hill is the only second-round pick out of those first 5 receivers. Those other 4 receivers are first-round picks. Wide receiver 6 is Juju Smith-Schuster. He, too, is a second-round pick. Number 7 is Odell Beckham. He's going at the end of the first round. 8, Mike Evans. 9, Antonio Brown. Those are second-round picks. 10, Stephon Diggs. That is a bit of a... He's a third-round pick. Middle of the third round. I value Stephon Diggs. 11, Keenan Allen. 12, Amari Cooper. That's your wide receiver 1s. Okay? Again, I talked about these guys last week, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on them. But I want you guys to know. Your wide receiver 2s. Adam Thielen. Robert Woods I have at wide receiver number 2 ahead of Brandon Cooks, who is rated ahead of him, who's my wide receiver 3 there. Chris Godwin, Tyler Lockett, I love. This is real value here, guys. This is real value. These guys, I'm telling you right now, I'll pause and repeat for emphasis. Okay? The guys that I value. Robert Woods, 4'9". Chris Godwin, 5'3". That's round and pick number. That's an average ADP. Okay, so it's fairly accurate. Tyler Lockett, 5'2". Calvin Ridley, 5'5". I talked about Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley as a rookie had double-digit touchdowns, okay, last year. This guy has the potential to be in this class next year, Lenny. He has the potential to be in that 3. Calvin Ridley does, okay? Julian Edelman, 8. Jarvis Landry, 9. Cooper Kupp, 10. Tyler Boyd, 11. And Mike Williams, who had 10 touchdowns last year, is your last wide receiver, 2. Again, quickly, okay? Now we're up to speed. But there's great value here, guys. This is my favorite. The third tier is my favorite tier, and I know that sounds corny as hell, but it is. Listen to these names and what they potentially could bring to their offense, and what the potential of that offense is. I won't lead you guys on anymore. Wide receiver 3 territory, okay? 15 minutes. I'm pretty proud of myself. Took me 15 minutes to get here, guys. Wide receiver 3 territory. Number 1, Robbie Anderson. I love Robbie Anderson, guys. Because, why? I love Sam Darnold. And this guy, currently, as I go back and forth here, currently, Robbie Anderson is a 6th round pick, 12th pick in the 6th round. He has risen 5 spots, so he is... Robbie Anderson is trending in the right direction. Thanks, Kevin. Calvin Ridley's a stud. I'll reemphasize it. Calvin Ridley is the target. Okay? I hate saying it because I probably won't get him because all these knuckleheads in my leagues are going to listen now. But Calvin Ridley he's the reason why Julio fell. He doesn't get the red zone targets because of him, because of Ridley. So yeah, he's impressive. So Robbie Anderson, let's talk about his statistics last year. And again, keeping in mind, he had a rookie quarterback last year who's returning with a little bit of an improved running game. There's a guy there you might have heard of, right? I think his name's Le'Veon Bell. So, Robbie Anderson, 50 catches last year. He had 94 targets. 94 targets is a lot, guys. 752 yards and 6 TDs. He did that last year in the 25th best passing game in the NFL. I like Robbie Anderson here because I'm willing to bet that the Jets are going to be a little bit better than the 25th best passing offense this year. Just on everybody aging and getting better with experience alone. Sam Darnold, right? Adding that running back feature. It's going to be... There's a potential for a breakout year here for Robbie Anderson. That's why I have him as my wide receiver 3, number 1. Okay? How about Sterling Shepard? Sterling Shepard, guys, is currently going at the end of the seventh round. Okay? So, sidebar. When I tell you wide receiver 3, this guy's going at the end of the 7th round, you look at the average of these picks going normally here, right? So, if you go to the industry standard and you go to that same 26th pick, you're looking at a 6th round, 5th pick, okay? So that's why it's important to make your list. I have Sterling Shepard here because of the volume he's going to get. But he's a 7th round pick, so you don't have to take him in the 6th round. I will now. Again, Vic, I see ya. Welcome, by the way. Thanks for showing. Appreciate having your support. So, Sterling Shepard, again, has raised 4 points. The reason why I still like Sterling Shepard, though, is because of the possibility of Daniel Jones taking over later on in the year, and the potential that kid has. I really do think that won't it won't be long until he takes that job. And when that happens, it'll be really good things for Sterling Shepard. But he also has a rapport with Eli as well. So the other part of that, again, Odell Beckham left. He was targeted 124 times last year. That's big, right? That's big. Those targets have to go somewhere. And yeah, I know Evan Ingram's there. Yeah, I know Saquon Barkley's there. But still, you divvy that up into those three because they're not real deep, right? They're not real deep. He's going to get an extra 30, 40 targets, okay? So last year, he had 66 catches he had 107 targets. So if you had 30 to 40 to that, that's significant. He had 872 yards and 4 touchdowns. Okay? Again, we're talking about that bar. Those are numbers with upside, right? Those are numbers you could quite easily see him getting 80 catches, 140 targets. I think he gets 1,000 yards easy. Now, the jump is 4 touchdowns to 10. I don't see that necessarily happening. But what I will say, I could see him doubling it. I could see him getting 8 touchdowns. And if you talk about that stat line, at the end of the 6th round, Vic, at the 7th round, that's certainly value there, right? So yeah, I have him as my number 1 wide receiver 3. Sterling Shepard is my number 2. DJ Moore, I love. He's a young guy. He's going in the middle of the 6th round. I have him behind Anderson and Shepard because those guys are a little bit more established. Okay? He's my wide receiver 3. Will Fuller is another guy, much to the same ADP of Sterling Shepard. He's at 712. This guy's been a bit of an injury concern, but he's catching touchdowns at a rate. He catches a touchdown like every other game. So you got to think if he stays healthy, he has the potential. As I try and get to his stats, as I pause off to get to his stats. And now, they're not great. He only had 32 receptions, 46 targets, 503 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Not great, right? But how about if I told you he did that in 7 games? Now, he might only play 7 games this year as well. But this kid gets behind the defense. He has special speed, okay? And, I think there's enough balls to go to all 3 of those guys. QT as well. Honestly, I like QT in the slot. I really do think that Fuller can kind of make his own way on the outside. So really, again, 7 games. Even if he plays 14, double those numbers, you're looking at 1,000 yards. You're looking at 60 catches, right? Also add into that the fact that Deshaun Watson's another year older, another year wiser. They're going to have to throw the ball because the running game isn't very good. I love me some Will Fuller, man. All he does is catch touchdowns is absolutely right, Kev. You're absolutely right. I love him. The next guy, I'll tell you, I'm trying to get back to, I had all this stuff written down and then I just trying to get everything down. I erased it on accident. So let me get back to it. Here I am. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Talk about catch rate, okay? And talk about Alshon Jeffrey. Alshon Jeffrey is an underrated player. Sorry, guys, I'm stalling. I know you could tell. But it's worth it. So bear with me, okay? It's worth the wait. This is the suspense.
And boy, that's just a straight shooter with upper management written all over him. Ooh, yeah. I'm going to have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
Oh, shoot, right? I'm not an upper management guy. Okay, here we go. Catch rate. Alshon Jeffrey. Better late than never. So Alshon Jeffrey's one of those guys. You look at him in that offense. He actually last year, so I'm guesstimating there's about 15 to 18 players in the NFL that had a 70% or better catch rate last year. Alshon Jeffrey had a 71% catch rate, okay? He, there we go. He caught, that can't be right, 92 balls? Did Jeffrey catch 92 balls, guys? I'm getting inundated on my information. That can't be right. I know that's not right. He had 92 targets. I mistyped that. He had 92 targets. He caught 65 balls. And he had 6 touchdowns. Alshon Jeffrey, at the end of the 6th round, I think is a value because he's familiar with the offense now. He's comfortable in the offense. He has a solidified role. He's kind of a possession receiver, right? So Carson Wentz is going to lean on him as teams adjust to Zach Ertz's big role in that offense. So I look for a big year out of Alshon Jeffrey. He's always going to be an injury risk, but at 6'8", he's gained 3 points in ADP, and he's valuable there, okay? All right, back on track. How about Alshon Jeffrey? My 6th wide receiver 3. Allen Robinson, 6th round, 10th pick. Last year with his first year with the Bears, again, had 94 targets, 754 yards, 55 receptions, and 4 touchdowns. Guys, I look for him to have more this year. I look for that to increase. These are all guys with opportunities for more, right? You can get all of these guys in the 6th and 7th round, and it helps you build your depth. These guys are established players with a significant resume that you can kind of lean on to build your depth. I'm not saying you want these guys as your wide receiver 1. You don't. These guys are ideal wide receiver 3s. If you draft wisely and you put these guys in that slot, you're going to have a good team, okay? Allen Robinson, not that long ago, was a wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville, right? He has that potential. He has that potential to go back to it. I look for big things out of him this year in that offense because I look for the Bears to be better with another year under Trubisky, with another year under his belt. Montgomery coming in, they're going to have a really multifaceted running game. I look for big things out of Burton, and I look for big things out of Robinson. So honestly, if you're talking about at the end of the 6th round, taking a chance on a receiver, why not Allen Robinson, right? The next guy I have, Larry Fitzgerald. I love Larry Fitzgerald this year, guys. He is being very overlooked. Yes, he's gotten older. Yes, he's not the focal point of that offense anymore. But he's capable. And he's going to get so much more volume in that Arizona offense. They're going to run so many more plays in that offense. I'm spitballing here a little bit, but I did this research and I have it written down somewhere. I just don't have it in front of me. But I know it to be true. Arizona's offense last year ran the second fewest amount of plays. They had the fewest amount of yards. They were one of the least productive offenses in the NFL across the board. That's not going to be the case with Cliff Kingsbury. Even if he falls on his face, his offense won't. Okay? That's why I like Larry Fitzgerald. Again, last year, 69 receptions, 734 yards. He had 112 targets, and he had 6 touchdowns. Again, for emphasis, Larry Fitzgerald was in the 32nd ranked passing offense last year. They averaged 158 yards a game. That's it. That's it. I would bet my next paycheck they're not going to be dead last this year. Okay? That's my only point. If they're not dead last and Larry Fitzgerald stays healthy, all those numbers are going to improve. 69, 734, 6 TDs. Vic, I don't know if you were here earlier. How many players in the National Football League last year had 10 touchdowns receiving, 100 yards or 100 receptions, and 1,000 yards receiving? That's kind of considered the gold standard, right? If you're getting those numbers, you're a really good football player. 3 players had that. 3 receivers had that mark last year. That's it. So we're talking about Larry Fitzgerald in the 8th round as a 33-year-old man last year. Okay? So throw age out. He did it last year. 69 receptions, 734 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And the worst passing offense in football. It's going to get better. Okay? Again, 7th, third tier wide receiver. Marvin Jones is next. I know he's an 8th round pick. They're not all winners, guys. When you get to this point, they're not all winners. But the thing about it is, the reason why Marvin Jones is in here is because he's an established player who's gonna give you, you know what you're getting, right? These are what you're trying to get in your 3rd and 4th tier. Okay? You're trying to get guys that maybe aren't going to be these big splashes, but are going to provide you with a good, solid baseline. How about Christian Kirk? Yeah, I mean, it is. But again, not many people have done it. Now, you got guys who have done one or the other or a couple, but all 3 of them, it's really hard to do. The best of the best are the ones that did it, right? So, that's why it's important when you're looking at these numbers to understand these guys that have the potential to go up to that standard. Even if they get up there in 1 or 2, it's a big deal, right? That's my point. So let's move forward. How about Christian Kirk? I love Christian Kirk, even though he's falling in ADP, guys. He's dropped 7 points. He's down to 8-10 since last week this time, okay? I don't get it. I love Christian Kirk in that offense. Again, you look at what he did last year as a rookie. 43 catches for 590 yards. 3 touchdowns. As a rookie and a broken offense. This offense isn't going to be broken this year, okay? I really think Christian Kirk has a chance to duplicate what Larry Fitzgerald's doing. And he's not on this list, but guys, I don't know if y'all know this. The Cardinals signed Michael Crabtree. Hint, hint. Just maybe if you want to throw out a dart there in the last round. Just saying. So anyway, Christian Kirk, end of the 8th round. How about this next guy? Emmanuel Sanders, at 9th round, 2nd pick, is a value. He is fully healthy. He's got, I'll tell you guys, this is coming from a Steeler fan. So if a Steeler fan is getting ready to give praise to an ex-Raven, you know he's saying something. Joe Flacco is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL. When he is healthy, he is nothing but consistent. He is going to love having Manny Sanders. In the 9th round, you're getting from last year, again, in an anemic offense, 71 receptions. He had 98 targets and 868 yards last year. He had 4 touchdowns, and he had Case Keenum throw him to him. Guys, this isn't rocket science. Joe Flacco, greater than sign, Case Keenum. Maybe 2 or 3, okay? I'm not a Cortland Sutton believer. I really do think the inside game that Emmanuel Sanders runs speaks well to what Joe Flacco is looking to do. I love Manny Sanders this year. And I think he has the potential, again, the potential to get up. Even if you get up to 80 and 800 yards, it makes me so mad. I had that statistic somewhere. I don't know where the hell it is. So apologies. There's like maybe 15 players that did that. So it's not a whole lot of players, right? So even getting up to that standard is impressive. So again, 71 catches, 868 yards. He's already on the eclipse of that, right? I love him. Here, this next guy, I don't have stats for him. How about Josh Gordon? 10th round pick, 11th pick of the round. He is up, guys, 37 points from this time last week. And we all know why, right? N'Keal Harry's hurt. He's reinstated. I like Josh Gordon. I worry about him. If you draft Josh Gordon, take a flyer on one of the other wide receivers, whether it's N'Keal Harry or, I'm trying to find him here, Jacoby Myers. Take a flyer on one of those two guys to kind of handcuff so you have that option with New England, okay? I like him. I'm not afraid of taking him. But just know there's some risk there, okay? So the last third tier wide receiver 3, T.Y. Hilton. Whoa, whoa. Boy, what a shame, right? I still value Hilton. I think he's a value as a third wide receiver. If he falls that far, that's where I'm willing to take him. I did kind of a little discussion on the Colts last week. I won't do that again, as just to save time. But I he's dedicated this season to Andrew Luck. So I find it hard to believe that he's just going to fall flat on his face. I really do believe that he will be productive in this offense. I really do believe this offense will be productive. So, 3rd round, I look for that to plummet at the end of the 3rd round. I haven't got on there in a couple days, so I'm sure it's fallen since. So, there's your wide receiver 3s. Let's move on to your wide receiver 4s. And it's a shame. T.Y. certainly has a ton of talent. And Jacoby Brissett is a much better quarterback than what he's being given credit for. So, he's one of those guys that if you do see him slip, and you do have the chance to get him, I wouldn't be... Let me put it like this. Let me dress it this way. He'll probably move back up this list as we get closer. Fair enough? So, time's sake, let's move on to your wide receiver 4s. Wide receiver 3s, you're focused on established depth, right? It's an established guy with a resume who you really trust is going to be able to give you a baseline of production every week, okay? These next guys basically fit that same mold, right? But there's a couple boomer busts in here that I think it's important to avoid. I left them in here to talk about them, right? But here's a guy. I have him as my first wide receiver 4 because if I can get Dante Pettis, an 8th round pick, 7th pick, as my wide receiver 4, I'm happy. I don't want him as a 3. That is too risky. But if you're talking about, your first wide receiver off the bench, count me in. 467 yards last year, 5 TDs. He showed his potential. He seems to keep getting into, Gruden's doghouse. You would hope that there might be some strategy involved there, but I don't know. I do like him as good depth here, right? How about Sammy Watkins? Sammy Watkins he's falling in drafts, guys. 9-8. And you know why. You understand why. They they drafted Mecole Hardman. He's going to take, targets away from him. But, guys, Sammy Watkins is a good player. He actually had hold on, let me get to it. You think of Sammy Watkins, you think of a deep threat, right? He caught 73% of the balls that were thrown to him last year, putting him in the top 20 in catch rate. So, talk about a guy who's undervalued. Yes, you have all this shine of Mecole Hardman. I get it. But don't forget about Sammy Watkins, okay? He had 519 yards receiving. He had 55 catches. And he had 3 touchdowns. I know he's an injury waiting to happen. I get that there's risk there. But when he suits up, he produces. That's what I'm talking about as a wide receiver 4 in the 9th, 10th round, mind you. Again, 9.8, he's fallen 4 spots. I'll take him as my first guy off the bench. Okay? Geronimo Allison, 9th round, 10th pick. Corey Davis, 6th round, 7th pick. AJ Green. AJ Green continues to fall. They're currently saying, that he won't be available until around week 3. Guys, I don't think that's the case. I think best case scenario, you're looking at 5-6. And I think by that point, the guy I'm going to mention in a little bit, maybe I did mention him, Tyler Boyd will have passed him up. Okay, I did mention him. So, I hesitate on AJ Green. As a wide receiver 4, sure. Is he going to make it there? Hell no. How about Marquez Valdez-Scantling? Again, Aaron Rodgers is going to want to throw the football. MVS is going in the 11th round, 2nd pick. He's falling. He's fallen 4 spots in the past week. Okay? How about John Brown, guys? John Brown is a guy that I think is getting slept on. And it's important to talk about this, right? So you're looking at his 3rd offense in 3 years. Some might view that as a bad thing. But look at the dynamic in Buffalo. Again, first off, last year, John Brown had 42 catches. He had 97 targets. He had 715 yards and 5 touchdowns. Not too shabby. It could have been better, though. Because if you think about what happened to John Brown last year, guys, they brought in Lamar Miller around week 11, and they became a running offense. Most of this damage was done in the first 2/3 of the season. Fast forward to this year, his current environment. Josh Allen I'll argue, is the perfect fit for him. Josh Allen kind of has that dynamic of being able to prolong the play and give receivers time to get open down the field. John Brown is a lot like Tyreek Hill in that you're not going to cover him for 8, 9, 10 seconds. What did I say? What did I say, Vic? Lamar Jackson. Did I say Lamar Miller? Oh, shoot, I think I did. Sorry. Yeah, Lamar Jackson. So, anyway, that enables John Brown to get open. Okay? So, if you think about last year, how open Tyreek Hill was at times because Mahomes was able to break pocket, I envision Josh Allen being of the same, not talent level. Obviously, they're two different players. But I think he's able to break that pocket and buy time so that John Brown can get open. And then he has the arm strength to get him the ball. Okay, so I look for big things again this year out of John Brown. I had him on my team last year and was quite pleased. The one thing people don't realize about John Brown, he played in all 16 games last year. People think he was injury prone, but he was durable last year, okay? So yes, he was dinged up. I'm not going to say he wasn't dinged up. He absolutely was. But he played, and he produced, okay? So I look for big things. Again, you look at those statistics, the potential, 715 yards. He has the potential to reach that plateau. 42 catches rather. He has the potential to go up another 20 in that offense. I know that's a lot. It's a third increase, but I think he can do it. So I'm a big John Brown fan. How about Courtland Sutton? Again, at this point in the draft, you're talking about a value. He's an 8th round pick. If he slips to me, I'll take him. But again, I've bumped him down on purpose a bit. I think Emmanuel Sanders will be the focal point of that offense and be the most efficient point. Who have the best rapport with Flacco? I do think Sutton will improve. That's why I do have him in this category, this wide receiver 4 category. But I think I flip-flopped him. I value Sanders more than I value Sutton. Okay? So, the next guy I really like, James Washington. He's currently going in the 11th round, at the end of the 11th round. He's gained 3 points. Last year was his rookie season. It wasn't great. He only had 16 catches, 217 yards, and 1 touchdown. But he looks really good in the preseason, guys. And as a Steeler fan, I think I have a pretty good beat on this team. He's someone to target. It's a bit of a risk because you haven't seen it. It's kind of the rookie's a rookie thing. But I think it's important to understand there's some validity there. Okay, this guy has the physical tools. He's shown glimpses of doing it. I think now's the time for him to have the opportunity to step up. The Steelers have groomed the receivers well traditionally. I know they just had a receivers coach die, unfortunately, but I do think that this kid is ready to take the next step. That's why I currently have him as my 9th wide receiver 4. I need to speed up because I need to get off here at 8 tonight. We got 13 minutes. I want to get through the 5th tier. Guys, we're talking about Anthony Miller, the 46th best receiver. Okay? That's how deep we're going today. Anthony Miller currently is a 12th round, 7th pick. But again, we're talking about the potential he's shown as a rookie last year. He had 7 touchdowns. He had trouble finding the field early on in the season. That wasn't the case at the end of the year. He was a vital part of that offense at the end of the year. And the 7 touchdowns speak to it. He could easily get that 10, right? Where we might need some imagination, 423 receiving yards. But I think he continues to grow. I think that he could quite easily get to 800 yards if he plays all year. 33 receptions. I value Anthony Miller. I think if you get him as a 4th wide receiver, you're doing well. Again, Curtis Samuel, I've dropped down a little bit. I was higher on this guy, but the fact that Newton's dinged up, I am a Will Grier fan, but I do realize he's a rookie. He's also not the backup at this point, officially. I like Samuel. I'm just not going to invest highly on him. 10th round, 10th pick. Deshaun Jackson is injured. He is in Philly now, though. So, again, he's off the list. Golden Tate, 13th. Sorry, we're now in the 5th round. The 5th tier. I'm going to start moving fast because there's a few guys I want to talk about. Okay, so bear with me. Again, this is wide receiver 49 through 60 that we're talking about. We're breaking it down to that level. But it's important because these are all guys that are going to get drafted. It's important to talk about them, right? It's important to understand why one is better than the other. We're still on the potential train here. I'm gonna get to where I'm skimming real quickly because fifth tier, Golden Tate, 13.4. He's with the Giants now. I feel the same way about him as I do, not the same way, but a similar way as I do about Shepard, in that he's gonna see an increase in targets, right? I look for big things out of Daniel Jones. Therefore, you have to consider Golden Tate in this group. Dante Moncrief. Dante Moncrief is a 10th round pick. I do think he's going to get jumped by James Washington, but that doesn't mean he can't be a good part of this offense. Okay? That's what kind of guys we're talking about here. Vic, Kiki Kute, 12th round, 8th pick. He's dropped 9 spots. But I think he's a value in the 12th round because I think all 3 of those wide receivers eat in that offense this year. I look for big things out of the Texans passing game, okay? And Kute's a big part of it. Ted Ginn, 13th round, 3rd pick. Here's a guy who I want to take a second and talk about. He'll be, if I could get to him, there it is, 34 years old this year, okay? But he was being quite productive last year. In 5 games, he had 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had a 56% pass catch rate. But he was being productive in advanced age. And you look at Drew Brees and his ability to fit things into small pockets, let's say. Ted Ginn's a big part of this offense. And in the 13th round, again, we're talking value. And an established player. So, again, he came back last year in the playoffs and played the last 3 games. He was targeted 13 times in the playoffs. So he's healthy. That's my point, okay? So, again, if you can get Ted Ginn as your 5th wide receiver, there's value there. Our first reach, again, I'm in the 5th tier of running backs. Mecole Hardman, 14th round, 9th pick. Mecole Hardman was drafted with the idea that Tyreek Hill wasn't going to play. So he carries a lot of the same skill sets as Tyreek Hill. That's scary. Mecole Hardman is going to take snaps away from Sammy Watkins. He's going to take snaps away from some of those other players because he's just that good. He's a 14th round pick, guys. He has the potential to be a 5th or 6th round pick next year. Because that offense is going to score a ton, okay? And he's going to be a big part of it. 14th round pick, Mecole Hardman. Jamison Crowder. I love Jamison Crowder this year. I talked about it on Arnie and I's first show where we talked about football. I talked about Jamison Crowder. You could ask him. Crowder fits perfectly into the Jets offense, in my opinion. He's a possession receiver. He demands targets. He's consistent. And he's just going to be a great safety valve for Sam Darnold. In the 13th round, I think that's a tremendous value, okay? As I scramble to get his statistics, guys. Last year, what the hell? I know I have them. I can't find them. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Last year, Jamison Crowder played on a really bad Washington Redskins team. There it is. Sorry, guys. Thanks for bearing with me. So, on a really bad Washington team last year, he still had 29 targets and 388 yards receiving. He had 2 touchdowns. In 2017, he had 789 yards, though. And in 2016, he had 847 yards. Okay? So last year was kind of the one-off. He's been targeted 100 times, twice in his career. Well, 99 times once. I count it. I'll fabricate that one target. He had 66 receptions in 2017 and 67 receptions in 2016. Guys, Crowder's only 26 years old. Okay? So, who's to say, in a much improved offense, it's a big upgrade from Washington to the Jets, guys, that he can't return back to that form. Guys, again, you talk about the standard. 66, 67 receptions, 789, 847 yards. You're right in line with what you're looking for here. And you're talking about a guy that you can get in the 13th round. That's value. That's value, right? That's what I'm talking about making your list. It's important. These guys start to jump out. Okay? All right, we're in the middle of the 5th tier. I got 4 minutes, so I'm going to go through some names. I value these names, guys, but Deebo Samuel, 14th round, 10th pick, could be a big part of the San Francisco 49ers offense this year, who I value. Okay, think about Deebo Samuel. D.D. Westbrook, a 10th round pick. Nick Foles. Sorry, I had to jump a few guys because I think they were garbage. I'm not going to talk about Kenny Stills or N'Keal Harry. Sorry, I'm not going to do it with my last 3 minutes. How about Mohamed Sanu? Mohamed Sanu, guys, at the end of the 12th round is a value. You talk about what's gone on in Atlanta. They've brought back Dirk Cutter. They spent 2 first-round picks on offensive linemen. They've got Calvin Ridley. They've got Julio Jones. They've got Austin Hooper. You might think this is a bad thing. It's not. It's a good thing. Sanu's a value at the end of the 5th tier. I want to talk about, real quickly, a couple guys, just because I got some stuff about them, and I think they're going to be. How about David Moore? David Moore, as of 2 days ago, is expected to avoid the IR. That is big news, okay? It's big news because Metcalf is hurt, and he was a big part of that offense last year. So, if you can get a guy as a rookie, sorry, I'm trying to share with you guys. If you can get a guy who, as a rookie, was able to give you a 27.8 yards per catch average, 5 touchdowns, 26 receptions in just 7 games, I'll take it. Okay? This guy was a 7th round pick. He started 7 games last year. I love David Moore this year. Looks like he's going to be playing. Here's another guy I love. Rashard Higgins. Rashard Higgins, 74% catch rate, tied for 5th best in the league last year as a rookie. With a rookie throwing the ball to him. He had 53 catches for 572 yards and 4 touchdowns. Vic, I could have kept my fucking mouth shut about Rashard Higgins, but I'm not. Okay? I'm in a draft with Vic on Wednesday. 74% catch rate. 5th best in the NFL as a rookie. Baker was under helm for 487 of his 572 yards, 33 of his 39 receptions, and 43 of his 53 targets. All 4 of his touchdowns. Look for a big uptick out of Rashard Higgins. Okay? You're welcome, Vic. You're welcome. That's why I say tune in. It's worth it. It's worth it. Anyway, it's 8 o'clock. I've loved this. I hope you guys have gotten a lot of good information out of this. I've loved gathering it. I'll be back on the air next Thursday. Andy's trying to get me to come in to do a stream of my draft next Tuesday, but I don't think I'm going to do that. Anyway, good luck, guys. If you have drafts coming up, I will be back to share with you the results, the fruits of my labor, if you will. But thanks for spending this past hour with me. Chaps Fantasy Chat. Football's on Thursdays from here on out. Baseball on Tuesdays from here on out. I love both. I can do both. So, until next time, good luck with your drafts. I hope you benefit from this. Make your strategies. You have your outlines. Know who you want to sleep. Prioritize your sleepers. And go out and dominate. Okay? Love you guys. I'll see y'all next week. Chaps Fantasy Chat. Thursdays. Peace.